Good evening and welcome all to the Devil's Advocate podcast. And we have a doozy of a podcast for you tonight, guys. We are welcome and joined by, all the way actually from Saudi Arabia, Newcastle fan Al-Walid. Al-Walid, how are we? Great to have you and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Stu, for having me and good evening, Manchester.
Absolute pleasure. And also a long-time favourite, Nath. Nath, how are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Really looking forward to this. And it's always good to be back on here.
No, excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We were supposed to be joined by another Newcastle fan, but unfortunately he's not too well tonight. So Nathan and Al-Walid are going to duke it out to see who comes out on top of this titanic battle between Manchester United and Newcastle United, which, by the way, if you take out Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester United, City, it's a real banger of a game, and it's one we all look forward to as fans. So, let's get in the chat. Let's get in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Just a quick one before we start. Don't forget, mental health is a big thing. Please, please, please reach out to all your loved ones, all your friends, your family. If you've not heard from anyone from a few days, just hit them up. Just drop them a text. Try and make them smile, laugh, put their arm around them, whatever you need to do to make sure people are happy and safe in their own space. So, guys, let's get into it. Al-Walid, I thought we'd start with you, and just to give us a brief overview of what it's like supporting Newcastle United out in the country, and now you're owners, so to speak, of Newcastle United, how the season's gone for you guys and what you're kind of looking forward to about the game tomorrow evening, which is 8 o'clock UK time.
Good evening, all. My name is Al-Walid, Newcastle fans, and I am podcaster. There is a podcast I do since 4 years. It's called Newcastle Al-Walid. Now Newcastle living huge change or huge improvement for the team. Before the takeover, Mike Ashley era was like rock bottom of the club. It was almost going to championship. But after the takeover, there was a great.
I think we might. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, I think it's just financial fair play. It's the thing that holding Newcastle from also better improvement. Newcastle this season is doing fine. I believe they are just wasn't lucky because the injuries that we suffer from. But gladly that we have transfer window in the winter, so hopefully we can make up and bring some players even for loans to continue the season. As we see now, is the difference in the table. It's not that much different, only a few points from I think Arsenal or Manchester City, who's in the.
There's not much in it. Yeah, not much in it.
Number one in the table.
That's right. What's the buzz like in Saudi Arabia for this takeover? Was there a real passionate support for the PIF to take Newcastle over? Was it something that was rumoured for a while? Did it just come out of the blue? And how long has the Newcastle fan base been in Saudi Arabia prior to the takeover?
Okay. First of all, here in Saudi Arabia, we are fan of Premier League.
Yes.
We have a lot of supporter of most of the teams. Also, there is a Newcastle base also in Saudi Arabia. And to be honest, it wasn't that huge. But now, of course, after being taken by PIF, things change and become a lot of supporter who maybe before support Liverpool, Manchester, but maybe they start to support Newcastle as a second team. and there is also fans who didn't watch actually or didn't much follow the Premier League, but now they're starting to like Premier League, of course, after the takeover of Newcastle. And now I can say there is a great base for Newcastle fans here in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East.
Oh, lovely. That's great to hear. Just want to bring in Nathan then to kind of interact with you, Awaleed. Nathan, obviously, there's a long history of Newcastle United in the English football. They're one of the heaviest supported teams, and I'm not talking by numbers, but I'm talking about pure fanaticism. The way that they go about the game, they absolutely love it. They feel like the stadium, whatever division they're in. What's your greatest memories of Manchester United, Newcastle, and what can you say to our lead that can get him even more excited for this for the upcoming game?
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a soft box in Newcastle, to be fair. So my dad was born in Berwick-upon-Tweed, up on the Scottish border, and born into a Newcastle supporting family. His first ever game, early 60s, was Manchester United against Newcastle at the whatever that was back then, the St James's Park. That it obviously isn't it now, but
yeah.
And he decided on that day that whoever won that game, no matter whether it was Newcastle or Man United, he would support them. And obviously Man United won, and that's how we've gone on to support our club. And yeah, I really enjoy these games. It's much more competitive now than it ever has been, and it's really exciting to watch. It's definitely one of those ones that, you know, when the fixtures come out at the start of the season, you look for Newcastle games, definitely. So yeah, I've got a real soft spot for them, but obviously, yeah, really looking forward to this.
Excellent. So, Awaleed, I'm kind of interested to see your opinion and hear your opinion on the type of football that was played under Mike Ashley era to the type of football that's now being played under Eddie Howe's era, I guess. What do you think about the Eddie Howe appointment? Were you impressed with that? Weren't you impressed with it? For the record, before you say anything, I'm on record as saying I'd have loved him as our interim manager when Ollie was removed. I thought he would be perfect for us. Our fan base wasn't particularly interested in that at the time. I thought it'd be a great appointment. I think he's proven to be a fabulous appointment for you guys. But what have you noticed between the quality of football under Mike Ashley's era to the new era that the PIF are funding right now?
I believe most of the fans, even not Newcastle fans, know about Mike Ashley era, which was just he want to make profit. He doesn't want to make maybe the best thing he do for the club. He didn't put the club into debate financially because he doesn't want to put or inject money in the team signing and stuff. He's like playing in the Premier League to the minimum spent. Yes. He doesn't want to spend much. So as I said, it was like kind of like you can call it rock bottom. So after the takeover happened, and with the huge plan and the organized plan of the PIF and the partners, Amanda Stively, Mirdad, and the Robin brothers, they I think it's not that hard if you have a plan and you have the income or you have the money to spend and you are doing it step by step. It's easy to build from the beginning, from the surface, from the scratch. It's easy to build, and that's what happened with Newcastle. Different than a team. I'm not saying Manchester, or I'm saying any teams who keep changing the coach and players. Some other coach come and bringing their players, then be sacked. Another coach came bringing different players, so there will be unbalance. But what with happened with Newcastle, they are like starting new, fresh, new, brand new team, brand new managers, brand new players. And I like about Eddie Howe, he also tried to not change much in he keep the best player in Ashley era. He didn't change them. He tried to train them and make them better. He said, "This is the soul of the team. I want to be like fair competence between the players." So he balanced things very great, and I believe he chose the players he needs. He pick a player for signing players he needs. He doesn't want like a fancy names. He wants a player who really perform his tactics. I believe he's a young coach able to develop. I noticed that if he make mistakes, he learn quickly from them. Yeah. So I think this is a great thing. But sometimes the fans, they are wanting the win every time, and this is not. No team can do that. But I believe that we are doing great, and we still have a chance to qualify in the Champions League. We are close to semi-final of Carabao Cup. We are close to the top 4, or maybe now top 5. Now the 5th, I believe, after the result of Champions League, can be qualified to Champions League next season.
Yes, that's right.
We didn't play in FA Cup, so we're still in chance, regardless the injury situation. I believe the last thing I want to say about Eddie Howe, maybe some blame him because there are a lot of injuries. Some blame the medical staff, but I believe it's just the way Eddie Howe play with high pressure, high press, with small amount of team. So I believe if he just have more players, he will do much better.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan will talk about our troubles with injuries as well. It's going to be. It's not dominated the build up, but it has been spoken about a lot. Just a quick question. I've got 2 questions actually, but I want to ask another question after Nathan's been brought back in, if I may. And this is not contentious by any way, but with the wealth that PIF come with, if you take out Amanda Staveley and the partners away, the wealth that PIF come with, is there an appetite in Saudi Arabia to really throw, millions at the project? Or is there a more balanced view that just churning over when you need to spend the money is the right way? What's the feeling between the fans out there in what they want the PIF to do?
I believe understanding of PIF, they are, for me, I see it. This is just my opinion. That Newcastle, it's just one project of thousands of a project of PIF. So PIF not that have only Newcastle to focus on. They have a lot of things, but they are focused on Newcastle. Also, they give the team what needs, what necessary, and they are playing with financial fair play. So it doesn't matter how much they will inject. But regardless the player and signing, as you can see, they develop the team, they develop the surrounding of the club, the St. James Park, also now in steps of expansion. So they are trying to build the under. I don't know I missed the word, but the under structure.
Yeah, it's the underpinnings. Yeah, we call it underpinnings in the UK. I understand exactly what you're talking about. They're trying to build a structure, so eventually they'll be self-sustained. So the PIF won't have to put the capital in. Hopefully they'll be able to self-sustain, and so the money they generate, hopefully then they'll be able to push back into. Totally agree. And in fact, that's music to our ears, actually, as fans, because the way that, and I'm sure you'd appreciate this, the way that Manchester City were dealt with by the Abu Dhabi regime and PSG with the Qatari regime, there was a fear that maybe it might happen something similar with PIF. You're absolutely right about the PIF, though. They're invested all over the globe in a variety of projects. And people seem to forget it's actually a public investment fund. So it has to turn a profit. Whatever you put out, you've got to make money back. It's a public investment fund. And you know, when you look at some of the investments they've got, I must admit, it's a very, very well balanced, well run fund, and it's doing well for Saudi Arabia. It's kind of changing, and I'll choose my words carefully, but perception of Saudi Arabia, and it's great from us to you guys. It's brilliant to have you guys in the Premier League.
Yes, it's true. If you can say that BIF bought Newcastle with 350 million, and now after 2 years, I think the club is now worth more than 2 billion. So this is a huge investment, and we're still the beginning.
They're still growing, actually. I do want to touch on something after, which I'm probably sure you're expecting the question, but we'll go for that. Nathan, obviously, our leader has spoken brilliantly about how he views Newcastle. What was the perception when you saw PIF come in, take over? It was a long, elongated period. Were you worried? Were you happy? Were you welcoming?
Not really any of the above, really. You know, like you said, there was this perception of that they were going to come in, spend the money, and really just like the brink of financial fair play rules. But I really do admire what they have done, and they have, like you guys have just said, they're really growing something and growing a structure underneath themselves. And like our Walid said, it's one of those where they bought it for that much, and it easily, as soon as they went into the Champions League, they've doubled, if not tripled, their valuation immediately. And it really is a brilliant process. I didn't really have a feeling towards it. Obviously, it's great for a club like Newcastle, you know, a big club in this country, to have a big investment like that, and, you know, actually do something well with it, rather than, you know, throw it all at them and then, you know, here you go. Oh, by the way, now you've got to deal with this sort of thing. You know, they've really thought about it well, and it's a brilliant acquisition for them, and absolutely fantastic. But yeah, like I say, I didn't really have an opinion on it. It's just nice to see a club like that get a big funding like that.
Yeah. So from my take on it, our lead, I'm absolutely delighted to see that the PIF have understood the values of Newcastle United and what it means to the supporters and the families of that area. It's great. It's great to see. So again, we welcome you. We really, really do. So I've got a quick question for you. It's a bit of a cheeky question, and I'll get Nathan involved on this, but it's the first time I've been able to speak to somebody from Middle Eastern heritage about the potential and what the view was of a potential Qatari takeover of our club. Now, we don't know as fans what's happening right now. We're told that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is coming with 25%, and it might not be ratified until the end of the year. Some people are saying it was done 2 weeks ago. Some people are going to say it's going to be done in a fortnight. There's since come out reports that Qatar, Sheikh Jassim, may well come in with a 11th hour bid to try and steal it. Now, I'm not asking you for whether you know that to be true or anything like that, but I would like to know what your feelings are if Qatar was to be taking control over Manchester United. And I'm just interested in an opinion. That's all really from your side of the world.
Well, still, and I follow this matter from the beginning until now. And if I am allowed to speak freely, I would like. I think Manchester problem is the Glazers. It's very obvious. So I believe sooner or later, unless there is a huge change in the way they do the management, for me, I think it's better for Manchester United to be taken by Qatari. This will improve the club. They will do it differently, because I think the Glazer have all the chances. And now, as a fan of Premier League since more than 20 years, I watch many games for Manchester United. I believe there is a huge change between Sir Alex era to what I see now. It's a huge difference. For me, I can't blame like the coach or the players. It seems that there is a huge problem with the management. from the decision, I'm not following news of Manchester United, but from time to time when I see the changes, like the goalkeeper, Onana, I see the De Gea left, and Harry Maguire thing, and I think Ten Hag is a great coach, but he's in, I think, wrong place now, because it doesn't seem it's so healthy for Manchester. They're trying to change, but they're still doing the same mistakes. I'm not sure, you know better, of course, about the spending. But Manchester United, I think, the richest club in the world. So, and they have a lot of space in financial fair play. So I think they can do better. But building mistake over mistakes make these things go roughly for the team. But I believe Qatari, as an answer for the question, I think it will be much better for Manchester United.
It's a super great point, Wally, our lead. We are very, very self-sufficient, or could be exceptionally self-sufficient. We don't need outside investment, really, if the club was run correctly. Your views and perception is 100% since the days of Sir Alex. Although football has evolved in the UK markedly differently to when Sir Alex was running the club, because he had pretty much carte blanche on what was happening around Manchester United as a football club. When the Glazers have come in, we've seen a steady decline of mismanagement, wrong people in wrong positions within the group. Not so much on the CEO, because as a CEO, as you're probably well aware, a CEO doesn't need to be football based. He just needs to have an understanding of business and how to steady a ship. But we've got nothing underneath that that warrants any real football knowledge, and we haven't had that for 10 years. And we've slowly but surely slipped down the pyramid, not in terms of our grace. Our grace is still the finest club on the planet. You know, wherever you go, our leaders, I'm sure you know when you've travelled, Manchester United appears everywhere, every corner of the globe. And I just think that our biggest issue has been greed, and it's a little bit like Mike Ashley in many ways prior to when the PIF and the Manstabling consortium joined. It's all about what they can get. You know, the club will never fail because they need that income, they need that revenue stream, and that's been our biggest problem. And we spent stupid money on players, ridiculous money that nobody would ever do. And I want to ask you guys a question after this, really. And so your perception is 100% our lead. I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Nace, you want to come in on that one, pal?
Yeah. So when the whole, when the takeover talk started happening, and there was this perception of it was going to be Jim Ratcliffe taking, we'll go back a little bit further. There was this. At first, we were thinking that he was going to be, the saviour and grace, that he was going to take over the full club, and he was going to be our hero. But that slowly turned into a bit of an evil act, in my opinion. I was hoping for a Qatari 100% bid. I was hoping that they would be able to take us fully over, and in the same way that Newcastle have, just make them self-sufficient and grow the club, and just get the right people in the right areas. And that's like you say, Stu, that's definitely been the issue ever since Sir Alex left, and it's just having the right people in the right places. But that's all it comes down to. But yeah, absolutely, I agree with everything that you guys have just said.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So before we get on to Newcastle, because I'd like to ask Aloid how you see Newcastle's style of play as towards to Manchester United, and then Nathan, I'd like you to do the same, analyse our style of play and Newcastle's style of play. But I've got a question for the both of you, really, because I was wondering, and I think the Galactico period of superstar, and I don't agree, by the way, with Aloy with superstars. I don't like the phrase world class or superstar. Nathan, I tell you, it means nothing to me. They're just footballers at the end of the day. But do you think that type of signing's gone? Do you think that Newcastle could almost pioneer a new way of buying players, not for the brands, not for the name, but for the value of what they do for the team?
Well, for Newcastle, when Eddie Howe came, as I said earlier, he focused on the player. He doesn't like came, oh, we are rich club, we will change and we'll buy anyone we want. No, he tried to take the best player he have and add also add another players. And I remember Jimmy Rubin, the co-owner of the club, been in a podcast and I watched it. He said something. He said that Eddie Howe is very accurate or very searcher, and when we give or he see the players from the scouting, he not just focus on the numbers or the statistic only. He also trying to find how the player personality, does he have the winning require or hungry of winning, how is his character in the change dressing room. So that's what helped Newcastle. The club supporting the coach, even that there is some losing or some bad games, or say some, we can say that they support the manager. So the players, when they saw the club support the manager, they have to also respect their coach, and they've been choosing the player who running and burning the field, not just doing the haircuts and for example, Manchester United have great players, but I can see they are not united.
Yes.
Not that unite, or they are like some guy kind of grouping, and of course you know that better. But in Newcastle, they seem no, uh, they have the same goal. They are so enthusiasm to build themselves, make a name for themselves, uh, and I think the management of the coach, the club, if they trust their coach, they have give him more of decision to make, not just only in the field, also outside of the field.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, your one statement about Manchester United being united as a team is going to open Nathan's Pandora's box. Trust me, he's gonna go off on one now. You're going to see a firework go. But I just want to acknowledge something you said, because we talk about it on our channel a lot. All of us who represent the Devil's Advocate talk about putting a team together isn't just about balance of play, but balance of personality. And you made a great point that when you're looking to scout a player, look at his ability, look at his personality, look at what he does off the pitch. Do your due diligence right the way around, what his lifestyle is like, what his hair is like, because his hair will tell you a lot about his personality. I know it's ridiculous, but it will tell you an awful lot about it. What does he eat? When does he train? Does he train hard? Does he train soft? You know, what's his intensity levels? What's his desire? What's his will? You know, what's his aptitude? Can he adjust? And all of that is exactly what we don't have, as Nathan, I'm sure, will now articulate for you, our lead. So wonderful point. Perfect. You should come on more often. You'd fit in with us perfect. Go for it, Nathan.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. It is definitely one of those things that we've been missing, not just this season, but for a lot of seasons. You know, we haven't got that winning personality and winning mentality, and also having that collectiveness on the pitch to go once you step over that white line, just to do your job, score goals, make saves, defend. Then none of them are doing it at the moment, and it's really hard to watch. And it's just that one thing we've been missing. And he makes an absolutely banging point about just having that personality and mentality to go out and get on the pitch and do what you're told to do. Nobody gives a shit about your hairstyle. I'm sorry, like we had the Paul Pogba era 2.0, and that was just an absolute shambles. Apart from those 2 goals against City in that game, that was probably his only highlight when he came back. But you know, it's having the right players, and you make an excellent point about the way that people buy players. You know, Brighton are doing it at the moment. Brighton have been absolutely storming it with that idea of they've sold. Who did they sell in the summer for like 100 million? Was it?
Casado.
That's it, Casado. And then they've brought someone in, and he's just been absolutely perfect, you know. And they're not going out and buying big name players. So it's that way that the wage football transfers are working now. You can't go out and buy the Galacticos or the superstars. Like, we really do hate those words on this channel.
Yeah,
but
we don't.
it's just, you need to get the right people for the right jobs and have the right mindset. That is what's most important, and that's what wins you leagues. That's what wins you trophies.
No, absolutely, totally agree. Well, look, guys, there's plenty of you watching, which is great. Please like and subscribe. Show your love to our lead. He's been absolutely terrific so far. Whether that remains to be seen for the next half an hour of the show, who knows? But no, he's been absolutely great. We've done 30 minutes, guys, already. It's absolutely flown by, which is great. So let's just delve in now to, and we'll start with our lead, just about what, you know, how you expect Newcastle to play tomorrow night, and what dangers you think Manchester United can pose to Newcastle.
Well, first, it's in St. James Park. This is, I think, Newcastle have advantage, or much more advantage when it's in the St. James Park. When I think of the thing that Eddie Howe do, there is no much surprises in Eddie Howe play. Every team expected how Newcastle will play. This is maybe a weak point. It will become a strong point for Newcastle if he have more players. For me, like, I admire Bruno Fernandes, and I think he's the only piece of the puzzle missing in Newcastle. We'll see now in the combined team. We didn't have that player in Newcastle, I believe, still. But so far the choices, I think the name of players, maybe if you notice the names, it's 2 years ago they weren't that known in Europe. But now everybody talking about Schär, talking about Trippier, talking about Gordon, talking about Isaac. So the choices that prove that Eddie Howe choices and the scout team choices are great, because when you build a team from scratch, and that's what happened with Newcastle, they with the signing, it's 5 or 6 years long. So any team, if they will bring player for 5 years or 6 years long contracts, you need to really know this player, and you're sure that he's doing that your tactics and will help your team. Because if you choose second wrong, it will cause issues. And like what happened for me, and like for Paul Pogba, what happened with Paul Pogba in Manchester. Paul Pogba's story is weird, very weird. That you see that Sir Alex Ferguson sell Pogba, and he said he doesn't he doesn't have the ethics to stay. After that, bring Mourinho came and bring him back, and after that he became the reason of Mourinho being sacked. So one player can really ruin the whole deal. So tomorrow, I believe Newcastle will continue in the high press. I didn't know that before, but when I become close to the Geordies lately, in the recent months, I noticed that there is a huge rivals between Newcastle and Manchester, because here in Saudi Arabia, we like the teams, but we didn't see that rivalry unless that we come close. So it's always an interesting game. Manchester, they are doing fine, but still, I think there is a kind of, they are not stable, maybe. They have a great selection of players, but as I said, there is no much, I can say, sustainability for the team. They are not focused. You can notice there is doing weird mistakes as the game. I catch the second half of Galatasaray game. They are great in some seconds and they are bad in other seconds. So I think this is still. I think it's also few players maybe will change this situation for Manchester, but they need also to get the right players before the like, for example, 15 years ago. It's not that hard to find a player or good player, but now the players are, as I think Mourinho said it, they are more fragile They are young. They are soft, kind of soft. Very hard to find a real player who really focus on the field and doesn't much care about anything else. We're gonna huge game. I expect a draw.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll get that results off you in a moment. I'm going to bring Nathan in now, and then we're going to go through your combined teams, and then I'll give you my opinion on how I think the game might go, and then we'll go round and we'll finish off with the scores. Is that okay, chaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it, Nathan.
So the argument for me of St James's Park, I do agree with what he said. You know, St James's Park is a cauldron of noise. It's one of my bucket list stadiums to go to. It really is.
Yeah.
And I've never been lucky enough to get the opportunity. But the argument for me in the last two games in particular, you know, we went to Goodison Park and we got that early unbelievable goal, I'll add, but got that early goal and silenced it. We did the same when we went to Hell in Turkey, you know, the other night, and we still managed to mess that up in the end. But still, we still silenced the crowd pretty early. Every time we scored a goal, it was stone dead. So I can imagine, like John says in the comments there, you know, Trippier is going to be pressing up high and trying to get the crowd on their feet, you know, but it doesn't take a lot for them to get on their feet. You know, they really do go at both sets of players, you know, whether it be Newcastle or Man United, you know, any foul, any free kick decision, everything, you know, they really do get on the backs of everyone. But, you know, you'd like to think that as a player, and we talk about this a lot, don't we, Stu, where as soon as you get on that pitch, you go past that white line, you need to block all the bullshit. You need to get out and do your job. You need to forget about who's mouthing you off in the pitch on the crowd or whatever. You know, you need to be doing your job out there. So it's so important for these players to really kick that in. And I think they have done in the last two games, absolutely. I can see it being a tricky game. I definitely can, you know. Fernandez.
Oh, yeah, you got, and then, yes, we'll let Alois come in. So you're going to go for Fernandez, and obviously, but no. Yeah, just before you answer that one, I think you're right, actually, Nathan. We've got to be a crowd silencer, our lead. We've got to cross that white line, and we've got to put up a brick wall. The proverbial brick wall is what we call it. And we've got to make sure that every time you come back to us, we're knocking you back. We've got to stop your flow. So we've got to stop your flow into our 25-yard kind of area, because that's where you're dangerous. In my opinion, and we'll talk about teams in a minute, but in my opinion, you've got one of the wisest, cutest strikers in the Premier League right now in Isak. If you watch his movements, he's quite a skinny, unassuming type of character, but all of a sudden, bang, he's there when he needs to be. He's very much a Ruud van Nistelrooy type of finisher. Ruud van Nistelrooy had a bit more of a presence, probably because of his flowing locks, but he had a bit more of a presence. Isak's quite slim built, quite unassuming, but deadly where it needs to be. His goal at PSG, you know, summed it up for me. I think since he's been back from injury, he's scored about 5 or 6 goals, hasn't he? Something along those lines for you. He's been, you know, really prolific. We've got to watch out for Miggy Almiron. I watched him years ago when he used to play for Atlanta in the US. I thought he was a wonderful talent back then, wonderful left foot. Struggled for 2 years really to get to the pace of the Premier League, but he's got if he's on his game, he's quite quick, but he's got a good vision in his left foot. He's very difficult to dispossess. Then you've got Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon, to me, he's rather straightforward. He's what we call a basic English dinner in the UK. He just gets at you. You know what you're going to get with him. As soon as he gets the ball, he's going to bang his head down. He's going to push you. So you've got to stop him somewhere. And then you've got the Bruno conundrum. Which is best? Is it the blonde-haired, if he still is, Guimaraes, who I thought when he came on in the Carabao Cup final, we quashed him. I thought we quelled him quite nicely when we beat you in that. But he has excelled in other games against us. So he's sometimes he's looked good to me. Sometimes he looks average to me. I know you're missing Tonali, and I know Tonali was a big a big player for you when he was there. So you've got enough types of players to hurt us. We've got to watch what we're doing on the 25-yard box free kick wise, because we want to stop Trippier. We don't want to allow Trippier to have any free kicks in and around 20, 25 yards out. We've got to stop the crossing ability if we can from your new left back. I can't remember his name. I'm really sorry. He's a young lad, isn't he? 17-year-old kid. I can't remember. Can you remember his name, Nate?
A Newcastle?
Yes. Yeah, you've got a young left back, haven't you? Did he inadvertently give the penalty away?
Hal Luis or Livramento?
I can't remember
Luis
the name.
Or Miley, maybe.
Yes, Miley, yes.
Miley, he's not a left back. He's a midfielder.
Is he a young lad? Is he a young lad?
17 years or 18 years. But he's a midfielder.
Yeah. Wonderful talent. Great to see. Lovely to see. Very cultured, I think, on the ball. Got good vision, really good foot. Very, very cultured on the ball. You've got a lot of players that can really hurt us, Aloe, but I think if we can just hold you at bay for 15, maybe 20 minutes, and we can grow into the game, we could be dangerous. And I can't quite think of a score yet myself. I can't quite land on where I think it will be, because I think it'll be a very tough game. But, goalkeeping will be interesting. Both have got 5 clean sheets. Ours is a bit more erratic than Pope. And have you still got is Dan Burns still in the 11, or is he injured, or is he
he hurt his back in against PSG, so he will be
he
away for a while.
Was he doing that dance? Is that what it was it the dance?
Yes.
So anyway, that's just my take on it. I hope I've given you my thoughts on. I think it'd be a very, very tight game. I don't see anyone steamrolling anybody. I think it'll be a good heavyweight boxing match, and it could go one goal either way, but we'll discuss that later. Let's get into teams. Awaleed, have you prepared a team?
Yes, me and Martin, we spent like half hour going through this. But for this, which Bruno is better? I believe it's both of them. They all deserve every penny they have. But I believe they are in different place in the midfield. And when if they do better, it's also I think more depend on who are next to in the midfield. So yes. I think that's supposed to say that. Okay, for the combined team, I try to be fairly as I can.
Yeah, so have we.
And, yes, so goalkeeper, I believe Bob, he will be the goalkeeper. Right back, Trippier. Midfield, Botman and Schär. Left back, Luke Shaw. I'm a fan myself of Luke Shaw.
Yes.
Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Bruno Guimaraes in the midfield. Gordon, Rashford, Isaac. For the subs, Dubravka, Varane, Willock, Garnacho, and Jolinton.
That's quite interesting. And it's not. It wouldn't be too dissimilar, would it, in certain areas to what we've gone with? We do take issue with your centre halves, of course. But anyway, Nathan, over to you, and perhaps you can explain to Awaleed how we've come to our conclusion. We try to be as fair as possible as well, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll read the 11 like you just did. So we've also gone for Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier. We've gone for Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez at the back, in the middle. Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Bruno Guimaraes. We've gone for Rashford, Isaac, and Garnacho.
So we Isaac, for me, was a no-brainer. An absolute no-brainer. When it comes to scoring goals, when it comes to being in the right place at the right time, having that instinct and that vision, and the finishing ability, he's better than all our forwards at this point in time. I do believe, though, and on our bench, we've obviously got Højlund, because I think Højlund possesses all of those attributes that Isak has, that Haaland has. That's probably it, really, for the two best strikers in the Premier League right now, currently. I think Højlund will grow. He's just in the wrong team right now, right at this point in time, to really demonstrate and blossom into what I think he can be. He's got the ability to drift into space. He just can't finish just yet. So Isak for me and Nathan was a bit of a no-brainer. We totally agree. Nick Pope, it had to be. There was no, as much as we may or may not love Onana, and I think the jury's out with a lot of fans. I happen to quite like him, believe it or not. You can't risk him over Pope. Pope's a more sturdier figure. And he's slightly more agile, I think, than Onana. He's not as good as his feet with Onana. But for me, the goalkeeper should do one thing first: keep goal. I'm not interested in whether or not you could do a Cruyff turn on the edge of your box or beat three people or thread a 50-yard pass. Can you save? Can you keep balls out the back of the net? And to me, so for me, Pope was a no-brainer. Awali, no-brainer at all. Trippier and Shaw, I think those two were probably shoo-ins for both of us, for both sets. I think they were shoo-ins. I think you're absolutely right. Shaw is better than any left back at Newcastle, and I think Trippier is better by virtue of his adaptability, that he can play either full-back role. He can play left back or right back, but his passing ability and his free kick ability. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a better tackler and a better defender, but Trippier is a better all-round player. So it had to be Trippier for me. Likewise with Shaw, and it would have been Dan Burn, wouldn't it, if he wasn't injured? I'm guessing it would have been your left back. So I think Shaw's a more all-rounded player to Dan Burn.
Yes, look, Shaw. Dan Burn, he's actually a defender. He's a centre back, because the situation of the left back, Dan Burn play him Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe usually prefer the tall players. He also admit that, so he liked them in the covering the midfielder for the long balls. Of course, look, Shaw, I think he passed his. To be honest, he passed his prime. He had his prime, I think, three years ago. I think. If you remember the Euro, when he scored the goal against Italy in the final, he was great, best left back in that champion. But the thing I like about Trippier, and I prefer him more, not just about the reason you mentioned, he's a leader. I believe when he in the team, he gives the trust of the players. So you feel safe when you see Trippier on the right back. He's leading the defense line. This is the 100%. Most important thing. Not like, look, Shaw, no, I don't see him at all. He's like running the defense or captain or lining the defense at all. But I think he's more like a standard left back. So I prefer look Shaw because I am left back. My back of the days, I always admire left backs. But comparing between these two, Trippier is best choice for me.
No, look, 100%. If you were to do a straw poll of Manchester United fans in England, we wanted Kieran Trippier at right back. We all did. He's a wonderful talent, great player for us. I'm interested in your choices as centre half, and you could argue also with ours that wouldn't it have been easier to pop to one in from each club? But
I know what you're gonna say, because Botman and Shah, because they do a huge and a great couple in the centre backs. And if you back to last season, the best defender in numbers, less goals achieved, was Newcastle and Manchester City. So that's proof they are very good. And not to mention that the midfield of Manchester is better than midfield of Newcastle last season. So that means more more credit to Botman and Shar. That's why. Or
No, I agree. I agree. Also, Walid, central defenders do come as pairs. They don't come as singulars. They come as pairs. And you know, I'm a centre half anyway, so I know the importance of a centre half. But I'm going to hand the floor to Nathan so we can argue the case for Manchester United, and then you can. But your point about Botman and Shaw was correct, by the way, 100%. I do agree with that. I will definitely.
So the reason I chose Varane and Martinez is just I looked at making the team as not just from their times at Manchester United or not just their play for us, or I've looked at their whole package. So I looked at Varane and thought he has won countless Champions Leagues and on his day is one of the best centre-backs in the country. On his day. I'm not saying he's done that for us so far. You know, he's been on and off the pitch, he's been injured, but on his day he can be the best. And so it was I was surprised when you named your two, to be honest, but I knew there would be some bias towards Newcastle. You know, that's the whole idea of this. But
you are totally right. If you mean now, if you mean overall, of course Varane is the best.
Yeah. So, but Martinez, the reason I put Martinez in is because he's actually one off, if not my favourite player at the moment. I know he's not playing at the moment; he's injured, but he's just that mentality he's got. He is not letting anyone get past him. He is this short bloke, and everyone wrote him off as soon as he signed. You know, who's this guy? He's not even 6 foot. You know, he's not going to be able to do anything in this league, and he absolutely plays his guts out every time he's on that pitch.
Yeah,
I'm a real big fan of Martinez, so I was a little bit surprised when you didn't put one of them in, but you know, I can understand why. You know, on a current form, I would probably kneel with yours, but I'm going to stick with mine just on the overall of what they give to the team in general.
Just for the record, our lead, I wanted Harry Maguire in there, but I was told categorically I couldn't. And I'm a huge fan of Harry Maguire. And he's a different type of centre half. He's like me, you see. I'm an old-fashioned footballer. I will lead. I'm 53. I'm an old-fashioned. Get in there. I get stuck in. And I you know, I like a scrap. You know, when I'm playing and stuff. And I like that type of centre half. But those days are over, aren't they? You know, you have to be more of a ball-playing centre half. And Martinez and Varane are, and Botman as well. Sven Botman, terrific defender. He is. He's one of those players. I don't dislike many players from opposition teams, but I can't abide Rodri because he's so damn good. And Botman's one of my favourite centre-halves anyway, because I think he's a bit of an all-rounder. I do quite like him. So I'm not so sure. I've never been a huge fan of Shah, just to be honest, but Botman in particular. He's been around for a long time, and he's very streetwise, and he's very cute when he's streetwise, and I do kind of like that. So I could probably, you know, I'd get him in a headlock, same as Rodri, because I hate the pair of them, you know, in a nice way. I meant that in a nice way. We'll skip by the midfield then, just for the minute, because we all agreed, didn't we, on Fernandes, Guimaraes, and Casemiro. And we agreed on. Did you? Sorry, Willie. Did you go for Rashford or not? I can't remember. Apologies.
Yes,
you did. So our only difference then is the Garnacho Gordon, because Isak, as I say, was an absolute shoo-in for me. Rashford's a tricky one, and there was a bit of a debate there because he's not had the best season by any stretch of the imagination. And there could be an argument that maybe on form, Garnacho and Gordon should be the...
Well, my lineup actually was, there is Gordon, and also I put Garnacho in the midfield, but Martin says no.
Okay.
So we chose this, but I put Gordon and Garnacho in the same team, but Martin says Casemiro, and I remember Casemiro maybe is good. So it's possible, could be. Yeah.
It's one of those, isn't it, where when you're looking at a team and you're looking at current form, and then you're looking at maybe Gordon's form for Everton last year as opposed to Rashford's form for Manchester United last year, it's chalk and cheese. So it's kind of one of those, isn't it? But we'll start with Well, hand the baton over to Nathan so he can fight Rashford's corner, and then you tell us a bit what you see about Gordon, because he's only, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, Howell, but he's just started to, the last few weeks, he's just started to find his legs, hasn't he? But we'll start with Nathan. Give us the argument for Sir Marcus, as we call him.
Yeah, so I well, when we put the team together, I think Rashford was a shoo-in straight away. You know, he's such. We go back to his form this season is not great. You know, it's not been brilliant, but he's still got to be in that team. You know, just because of his. You know, Man United's in his blood. You know, he wants to be there. You know, he's probably had countless offers to go elsewhere, and he's obviously stayed with us for a reason. So I do believe that he is Man United through and through. So just purely for that reason, I had to put him in, just to, you know. Oh, John, you're an idiot.
He knows. Yeah, John come out, knows what he's talking about. Good lad, Johnny. Good lad, Johnny.
So yeah, for that reason, Rashford was an absolute shoo-in. I do like Gordon, but for me, it was over Rashford on that right hand. To get Rashford and Garnacho in the same team, it was important for me in that sense, was to have him there instead of Gordon. I do like Gordon, but you know, Rashford and Garnacho on the wings was important for us, I felt. Just with Garnacho's recent form as well. And I wasn't a big fan of Garnacho at the start. You know, I did have, you'll probably find in an earlier episode at some point, I might have slagged him off a few times for some of his antics, but you know, he's growing on me. I don't hold grudges. He is growing on me, and you know, I had to put Garnacho in there because of just his current form. It just earns him that spot for me.
I will lead. Let's hear your thoughts on Gordon. I'd be interested to hear this, really.
Okay, well, Gordon, I like him when he was also in Everton. He's one of the fastest player in the world with
He's
the ball.
Quickest in the Premier League.
No, one of the quickest.
Yeah.
But I think in top 5 or Premier League.
I read the other day he's the fastest.
Yes, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure he was the top 5 in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. The thing about Gordon, and also you remember when he for England, for youth team, when they win the Europe last year, I think, or this year, I believe. This year.
The under 21.
Yes. He got the best player. The thing was just he was still young. He have he still have like some a lot of enthusiasm. So he needed like a time to adapt with Eddie Howe style for play. Maybe bad for him. He play for many positions. He play in the midfield. He play in the striker. He play in behind the striker on the wings. So, and also with Eddie Howe, he try him at many positions. But when the problem of Wilson and Isaac, they are injury prone. So I believe Eddie Howe tried to make him as a second striker because he needed a striker. And it's very hard to depend on Isaac and Wilson and make them go and do sprinting, get back from the box and go inside. This will cause them a lot of injuries. So he give, I think, the running role for Gordon. I think that's why lately he becoming better at it. And he got advantage of injury of Barnes. He got injury, usually Barnes, who covered the left back, the left wing. So I think that's why he's now better, because Eddie Howe play him as kind of like a second striker.
That's absolutely. At Everton, he was almost given a free reign, free license. He'd pop up pretty much anywhere. He's more disciplined. You're absolutely right with Newcastle. I wasn't being disrespectful when I discussed him as just like a Sunday roast, very straightforward player. But sometimes they're the best. Sometimes out there, although you know what he's going to do, it's really difficult to defend against it, because he's got that ability to push you wide or push you inside, and he's got a goal in him now, which is really interesting. So, finally, then the midfield, we all agreed on the midfield, and it didn't take us long at all. I think the midfield was snapped out in seconds. You had to put Fernandez in. You had to put Guimaraes in, and I think Casemiro is the best holder at the two teams. So to us, to me and Nathan, it was an absolute no-brainer. For us, I understood where you could try and fit Garnacho in, but for us, I know Casemiro's not had his greatest season so far, and he's been injured. But his ability to read a football match and his ability to be in the right position at the right time, just by jogging that extra 2-3 yards, looking around, his head's on a swivel constantly. It enables us, when he's got a more flair player alongside him. And you may well see on Saturday evening, Kobe Mainoo play at St James's Park. Now, he is I hate to use the word, but precocious talent. I don't use that a lot. I don't get excited about footballers anymore, Awali, but there's something about this young man. If he plays on Saturday, come on again at some point, because I'd love to hear your take on.
Pardon me, what's the player name?
Kobe Mainoo. He's 18 years old. He plays.
He played
Manchester United. Yeah, you may not have heard of him because he's been injured for a lot of the season, and he played on when did we play, Sunday or Saturday? Nathan, I can't remember now. Sunday. He played against Everton on Sunday. He was sublime. Very, very good player. A bit like your lad Miley, young lad, 17, really good player. Kobe Mainoo, we've got a nice talent. So I'm hoping he gets a game, and I'll be interested in your opinion. So please come back. Lads, we've done an hour. I don't know where it's gone. You guys have been absolutely terrific. You really, really have. I'd like to let's have a quick score prediction. We've all remained friends, which is great. You've been an absolute pleasure, Awali, to have on. You really have. You've been an absolute delight. So thank you for taking the time. I don't know what time it is in Saudi Arabia, but we really, really appreciate it. So what do you think the score will be? And if you had to pick a first goal scorer, who would it be?
No one, because expecting 0-0 draw. I think the both team doesn't want to be lose. They don't want to be losing. I think it's gonna be 0-0 draw.
Oh, okay. No, that surprised me. I must admit, I'm surprised by that. Nath, what do you reckon? Wow.
Yeah, I did exactly the same things you just did. I just absolutely stunned. I was expecting him to say 3-0 Newcastle or something, but no, fair enough. Brilliant.
Somebody who knows football, Nath. This is it. You see, we only know football on our channel.
We need more people like you. We've got too many delusions.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm going to go a bit more. I was going to say hopeful, but I wouldn't be surprised again if it's like a 1-0 or a 2-1, or like I believe I'm going to go for a 1-0, and I'm going to say it's going to be a Rashford penalty. I think Fernandez is going to pass the ball over to him again for a penalty, but really, like, out of nowhere. I think it's going to be a classic game. I think it's going to be one of those games that it has just got the one goal in it, and they are just going at it all game. That's all we really want. We just want all the players to leave their blood, sweat, and tears on the pitch. So I'm going to go for a 1-0, and I'm going to say a Rashford, and I'm going to chance it and say a penalty.
I think it'll be an absolute perler of a match, and I'm going to go 2-1. And I will don't take this personally, but I think we'll steal it 2-1. But I think we'll go behind. I think you'll score first, and I think it'll be Isak if he plays, and it'll be Miguel Almiron cross, and Isak will pop one in. Because I like the way that Almiron plays. If he plays, I love the way he plays. He's a great player. It's nice to watch. He's always got a grin on his face. Small little, I like him. But I think he'll pop the cross in. I think Isak will nod one in. I think it'll be a header. And I think we'll get a penalty kick. I think it'll be Rashford or Garnacho will penetrate the fullbacks and maybe get a pen. And I think we might just steal it with a Højlund a Hoyland header at the end. I think it's going to be very, very close. To be fair, Walid, it could go the other way. It could quite easily be 2-1 to Newcastle. But I'm going to go. That's how I think it will transpire, and it'll unfold that way.
All possibilities, but it's like I believe. We'll see that tomorrow, but I believe still it's going to be draw. And I like what you said about Almiron. He's like the old-fashioned, old style for play, old winger style. I like back old days style for play as a winger. I really admire him a lot.
No, he's a good little player. He's as I say, I saw him play at Atlanta, and he was. I think the forward was it Josep Martinez. I think he combined with him a lot. Martinez, I'm sure it was Martinez. Great team at Atlanta had at the time, so it was a good move for him. 13 million quid, I think you got him for a steal. 12 million, something like that.
What do you think of the combined team we make? I think they are good to be for a title, because I think they such a strong team if we combine both teams together.
I think that was fair, actually. I thought your team was fair, to be honest. And really, when you think about it, it was only the centre halves we really didn't agree on. That was the only two positions, because Gordon and Garnacho, or Rashford and Garnacho, Rashford and Gordon, whatever, it could have been that we could accept. The two centre halves are really the only glaring differences between us. And I'll be honest with you, Awali, that's a knowledge of football, and that's a knowledge of how players play. Whoever you support, if you love and understand football and watch football with your eyes and not just the eye test, that's what you come up with. If you watch it with the eye test, then as a Newcastle fan, you don't put Fernandes in, and you don't put Rashford in. You would play Livramento if you wanted to, someone like that, or you'd put Miggy Almer on in. But the idea of picking on a combined 11, but a truthful and honest combined 11, you're always going to get a couple of variances. It was always going to happen. But to get 90% of the team pretty much right between the two of us kind of shows, certainly you and Nathan, it just shows a level of intelligence of football knowledge that you don't have. And one of the things that Devil's Advocate podcast pride ourselves on is people that come onto our show know football and they understand football, and they don't just look at it from a fan's point of view. They can look at it from a fan's point of view, but also from a footballing point of view. And already when I spoke to you at the beginning, you spoke about the importance of intelligence and personality, as well as technique and style. I knew then you knew exactly what you were talking about. And it's really important, because we have a lot of channels in the UK. They're very sensationalist. So they'll try and make a drama out of nothing, whereas we try and just talk about football and take it for what it is. And you know what? If you beat us 4-0 on Saturday, you beat us 4-0 on Saturday. Nothing we can do about it. But we would love you to come on again, just to talk football with us. It doesn't have to be about Newcastle. Just come and talk football.
Well, I'm always happy and honored and thank you for having me today. You saw really a brilliant interview, also for mate Nathan, and this was really great. I don't believe an hour been passed. We enjoy this, and hopefully we'll enjoy, of course, tomorrow for watching the game.
Well, there's one thing will happen. We'll both, and we'll all enjoy it. That's what we love. We love football. But just before we go then, guys, because we are going to have to wrap up now. We're just an hour and 10 minutes, guys. It's been absolutely brilliant. Our lead has been terrific. Nathan, you've been brilliant as always, pal. Thank you for everyone who's been in the comments. Get your likes in. Please subscribe. Our lead, where can the guys subscribe to your channel, and can they come and watch you? How does that work time difference-wise?
Well, it's Newcastle with Al-Walid. Unfortunately, my Twitter account is banned, so I have a second one, which you contact me with. Yeah, and I don't know why. But my main YouTube channel is Newcastle with Al-Walid. It's Arabic/English. Sometimes also I have lads from UK as well.
Ah, lovely. And Nathan, where can people abuse you?
You're more than welcome to abuse me at Nate Delves on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Great. And you can abuse me at Stu Woolley, as you all know. Guys, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I will leave. We're going to have a 7 o'clock UK time on Sunday. We're going to have a review of the game. So I'll get keen to maybe send you the link. I don't know how it goes in terms of your timing, but if he sends you the link and you want to join. And if you can't join, don't panic. And I'll get keen to stay in touch with you anyway, because we'd love to have you back.
Yes, happy to.
We would love it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Again, just a quick reminder, mental health, please look after people that you love, care about, know. Don't know if you see somebody in the street, you can afford to give them £1, give them £1. You know, it's Christmas. Open your doors, give them something warm to drink, something hot to eat. You know, people are people at the end of the day. Who knows why they're on hard times? Who knows why they're struggling? We don't. A little bit of empathy doesn't go amiss. Thank you guys for absolutely everything. And now I'll get the closing thing and we will say goodnight. Take care, guys. All the very best.